What is up, and welcome to the very first, I don't know if I want to call this vlog or not, of documenting kind of the journey here. I've always wanted to actually shoot more like raw content. And so that's the goal for this kind of series. What I'm gonna start doing is just documenting my days, building agency closers, working at Bad Marketing, and kind of take you guys behind the scenes. So let's get started. So today's gonna be a bit of a busy one. Eddie and I just did a webinar over the weekend and onboarded a ton of new clients and agency closers, but I'm also still closing at Bad Marketing, so business as usual over there. So first and foremost, I got a call coming up here in the next 5 minutes, so I'm gonna prep for that. Got a pretty packed day so far today, kind of basically on back-to-backs until this evening. My Tuesdays and Thursdays are a little bit different than normal. I start later in the day so I can go for a run with my wife and dogs. And then I also have boxing this evening. So it's gonna be kind of a packed day starting in the next 5 minutes. But first things first, I prep, go over some journaling, get some clarity on what I want to accomplish today. And then I prep for my day on who I'm gonna be talking to, what those meetings are gonna be about, so that I can not think about each meeting as I go into them. So I'll take you guys through step by step, giving you some updates throughout the day. So let's get started. So about to start this call in the next 60 seconds. Don't do what I do, but before calls, what I like to do is I bring up their offer, their website, whatever it might be, whether it's info, I look at their funnel. If it's e-com, I look at their website, kind of take a quick deep dive to get a bit of an idea of kind of what they're doing, how they work, what their products is, their costs, what the quality looks like, and then I'll read the notes from my appointment setter before I hop onto the call, so I have an idea of what went on in the first call, so I have some context. Now for me, because I've taken like thousands of sales calls at this point, I only need like 5 minutes to get an idea of kind of what's going on before hopping on the call. If you're a newer closer, take the time you need, 15, 20 minutes, do a lot of research, understand their business, but I kind of have a bit of a rhythm, so I can do it relatively quickly at this point. Hey, what's going on?
Hi, Curtis.
Recording in progress.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I've been good. How's the day been so far? Next steps, I'll chat with the team and get right back to you with a bit of a game plan on what's possible. And then if you need anything else, just please let me know, and I'll send over that information as well. If you guys don't have a sick mug to drink your coffee out of, you're leaving at least 2% of closing percentage out of on the table. Disney mugs to the win. Kept that one relatively short because there's a bunch of information I got to get from the team, but really cool brand, really looking forward to learning more about what they're doing. This call specifically was about TikTok Shop. At Bad, we sell like 15 different services, so it's always fun for me because I get to sell a bunch of different packages and pricing and talk to a bunch of different people. I know some of you sales nerds are gonna be out there, appreciate this, but I'm trying different setups right now. So I have 2 monitors and then my main laptop. And so what I normally would do is I have my Zoom call up here with my prospect, and then I have Go High Level right here. And I kind of take notes on this side, but what I'm trying right now is a split screen where I've got the Zoom in a thin line here so I can see what they look like, obviously talking to them, and then I have my Go High Level notes above it so that I'm always looking at our prospects and it doesn't look like I'm doing this on calls. It's working well so far. It looks kind of clunky, but I think it's gonna crush. So why am I making these videos? What's the point of all of this? Well, hold on a second here, let me get this all set up. So what my goal is with all of this is that I want to document everything that we are building at Agency Closers. So for context, if you guys don't know who I am, what I do, my name is Chris Anderton. I own a business called Agency Closers where I coach and manage marketing sales teams, right? So anybody in the agency space, if you have a sales team or if you're an agency owner that are still in sales, I work with you kind of like a part-time sales manager where I check out your calls, help you with your processes, make sure you have SOPs set up. And why I built this all is because one of my business partners is Eddie Malouf, who owns and operates Bad Marketing. If you guys don't know who Bad Marketing is, you're living under a rock, arguably the best agency in the space right now. And so we actually partnered together to offer a bunch of different services for agency owners, ultimately to take over the agency space when it comes to sales. I will be the go-to person for all things sales in this industry. And I thought, you know what? I think I should have done this a long time ago, but I'm gonna start documenting that in this way so that way we can kind of see behind the scenes where we're gotten started. So really excited. The takeover has begun. Just wait and watch and see what happens. Sees what happens. You know what I'm trying to say. And on top of agency closers, I also work at Bad Marketing. So I started at Bad Marketing as the main closer and head of sales and help Eddie build out all the systems and processes that we have at the company. We actually just finished up a webinar teaching this entire thing. And so everything that I do at Agency Closers is based on what we do at Bad Marketing. So the fun part of all this is I also get to document a little bit behind the scenes of what we do at Bad Marketing, which I think that a lot of people would love to see. When it comes to the sales side, I don't touch the operations or anything like that. I'm also not in office, obviously, because you can see that I'm working from home, right? I'm actually based out of Canada, and the rest of the company is based out of the States. And so I'm obviously working remote, but I think it'd be really cool to start sharing more of kind of what goes on behind the scenes when it comes to Bad Marketing, but also Agency Closer side. So I'm going to document both of those things for the exciting times to come.
So I just got off a call with one of my members. Just called me out of the blue, had some feedback that he needed. One of the things that we always cover in Agency Closers is your goals. When I say goals, but like, what does your ideal perfect future look like? And then the reason we do that is that you can tie everything back to it. So for him, he just got an offer to get paid to go and do something, specifically whether it was consulting, coaching, marketing, whatever it is, right? And he called me about like, hey, I got this opportunity. What do you think about it? And I asked him a bunch of questions basically around his goals of like, what are you looking to do in the future? How much money are you looking to make? Like, what's your plan? And he quickly realized that the offer that he was given was like nothing, and he's thinking too small. And so it was a very easy, no, this doesn't make sense for me, because now it's not aligned with my future. So anyways, I encourage you guys, I hope you have a North Star that you are constantly reflecting on when it comes to all of your decisions, so that you don't waste time on things that are not high leverage enough for your skill set. Sometimes us as entrepreneurs, we get in this place where we take opportunity that is not worth, we are more skilled, if that makes sense, than we think in some cases, and we have to be reminded of that. So anyways, great little call. I'm about to hop into another sales call here with a 8-figure brand on the Bad Marketing side, and then I'll chat to you guys a bit later.
So part of my day, we're gonna have to change some things up here because you're gonna see this a lot. Obviously, if you guys know anything about the closing space, truly know it's not what you think. A lot of these people and gurus in the space are like, I'm at the beach and I'm with the boys in Dubai, and that's all great, and I love that. But they're not showing you what it actually looks like to be a high-ticket closer. Reality is there's a lot of this. There's a lot of me standing at my desk, pounding my keyboards and talking to people on the phone 24/7. And it's interesting because a lot of people are trying to get into the space of high-ticket closing because they're being sold this like sexy lifestyle, and it's awesome. It's where you can make like life-changing money. But what you don't know is that it is an office job. Like you are getting in front of a computer, and reality is if you want to be world class at sales, you can't be sitting next to a pool with a really horrible audio and like completely overexposed, because you're just not going to be taken seriously. And so all the guys that I know that are dominating in the sales space are in their offices 24/7, and they don't travel a ton because the time zones makes it really difficult to be able to perform the way that they want to perform to make the money they want to make. So yes, of course, there's time freedom. There's location freedom, which is great. And a lot of these guys that are going to like Dubai and like Bali, and all you see is them at the beach, it's because the time zones are so messed up that they have to work all night long. And they don't talk about that, right? So anyways, you're gonna see a lot of this. I'll try to make it interesting, but today is just meetings, and so I'm gonna skip through this relatively fast. The next meeting I have is an onboarding for Agency Closers, which I'm stoked for. You got a bunch of new members that came in from this last webinar. So for you guys who don't know, the onboarding call is basically a really in-depth auditing call. I report the entire business, what's going on in sales, what's not working, what is working, and then that sets the kind of the tone for the rest of our partnership within the program and the service that I provide. I don't really call it a program, it's more of a service than anything. And so, yeah, just kind of a bit of a rundown. Then right after that, I'm going immediately into another sales call with a really cool company. So looking forward to that. So I'll give you guys a bit of an update here in a couple of hours, but just back-to-back calls.
All right, so just finished up on another call. I was gonna take you guys along for the ride for a lunch break, but sometimes we have lunch breaks, but we own businesses. So I had a client call me with a bit of a decision they had to make that they wanted some feedback on, and so instead of taking a proper lunch break, I decided to have a conversation, obviously. So I didn't record that conversation because it was private, but that's kind of how I tend to flow throughout my day. I had multiple onboardings of clients this morning, and then did 3 sales calls, had a lunch break. Now, guys, I'm a big believer in protecting energy, so I normally like to take an actual proper lunch break, but today I wanted to make sure my client was taken care of, and so I helped them through a bit of a decision-making process, and here we are. So just got off another sales call, which was right after lunch, and I'm coming out to get a bit of a drink of water and a top-up on coffee before kind of diving into the next stage of my day, which is another onboarding, and then a coaching call with one of my ongoing members, Tyler, which I'm stoked to have a conversation with him. So I'll obviously bring you guys along with the ride, but that's kind of an update for the day. I also have poopies. So this is the horrible lighting. This right here is little Breeze. She is one of our sport Labradors. My wife just got home from another dog training session, so Breeze is out looking for her. And then, forget some of you guys don't know this about me, all right, which I'm excited about filming this. So my wife, my amazing wife, has an incredible business and community in like the dog sport community. So she does a lot of things like agility, a bunch of different dog sports. She's like led the way for a bunch of these really cool sports where I live, one of them being like dog powered racing. So she actually runs like a 500 person run club. It's pretty cool. She does a lot of cool stuff, but we have 3 dogs. So Breeze is one, she's our youngest. She's a little Labrador. And then I have this guy over here, which is Oakley. He's our oldest right now. He's an Aussie Shepherd Border Collie. My goodness, this lighting is just terrible. There he is. He's our Aussie Shepherd Border Collie. Say hello. He's our fun guy. He's one of my favorite dogs that we have. We're not supposed to have favorites, but I do. And then we have another whose name is Tess. She's a black lab that actually looks just like our little Breeze over here, but she is just with mom in the van, so I can't show her to you. So I'll have to show her to you another time. But yeah, I'm grateful to be able to work from home. I get to take care of them. My wife does all the work. I don't do any of it, but I get to come and see them and snuggle them during the day. All right, so part of my admin every single day is call reviews. I'm not gonna show you exactly who this is, but I actually sit down and I watch my sales team within Agency Closers calls. I watch their Fathom calls from start to finish, and I actually write down, I like physical notes, but we actually have like a whole process for this online where I can like track everything you're doing within your own call reviews. But I'm watching the calls, giving direct feedback on introduction, discovery, pitch, process, objection handling, making sure everything's taken care of. And then on a weekly basis, they're getting this feedback to make sure that members are continually getting better and consistent, right? So anyways, gonna finish out this call review, and then I'm gonna be hopping into my next onboarding call for the day.
Wanting to be like a friend, right? Coaching people, wanting to give them value and be really nice. And I know I have to stop doing that and just get to the point and make sure that they see me as the authority figure that I am.
That you are. Like, be honest with you on that side. Do you think that you're consistent with follow-up, or do you think that it's like something that you're not doing consistently enough?
No, it's definitely lacking, but I have carved out like specific blocks of time now.
My friends, listen, just onboarded a new member into AC. I've got to hop off to another call right now that's loading. You guys have to make sure you charge more. The number one issue that I'm seeing right now with a lot of these new agencies that we're onboarding to AC is that they just don't charge enough money. We're leaving so much money on the table. Maybe you don't have a bonus incentive. Maybe you're just charging half the price than everybody else is, but you're not aware of it. You have to know these blind spots, or you're just gonna leave a ton of money on the table. So I just had a very interesting sales call, and I think this is a really interesting point that I want to kind of make for a lot of you guys out there taking calls. Your standards are really important, and you need to follow those standards and stick by those standards. Something that I talk a lot about is protecting your process. I just got off a call. This guy's been burnt so many times by agencies in the past. He comes in, he's shut down, he's very quiet, he's not answering my questions, and I'm being very blunt with him. Hey man, like, what do you like? I was just calling him out in that moment. What's going on here? Like, you're being pretty quiet. Something I said. What's like? And he started to open up. No, I've just been burned by all these agencies before, right? And so we had this discussion, and I'm digging deep through the framework. What happened before? Why do you think that happened? What's going on? And this guy's just so burnt out from working with agencies. And I'm digging through his numbers, and I'm finding out that he's not profitable, and he's in this really bad spot. And I kind of just had this moment with him where I was like, listen, man, can I be honest with you? And he's like, yes. I'm like, so far you've told me that you don't care about case studies. You don't care about past experience. You don't care about anything that I say because you don't trust agencies in general. And on top of that, you don't want to pay a retainer and you don't want to pay performance. Like, I don't understand. Like, what do you expect? Right? And he immediately realized how kind of ridiculous that is.
And so he starts to justify, well, all this stuff happened. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you expect then? Do you expect somebody to come in, a world-class marketer to come in and work for free for you? And he's like, well, no. I'm like, okay. So so then what's the option? He's like, well, I'm going to work with the right person. I'm like, cool. Well, then how are you going to find the right person if you don't care about case studies, if you don't care about past experience, you don't care about audits that we're showing you numbers and how we can help, right? Like, so how are we supposed to figure those things out? So we had this really direct, raw conversation. And he was frustrated. And we were having this direct conversation. I'm a big believer in just calling it out and having a discussion about it, right? So he was so caught in fear and he was being irrational where he was contradicting himself all the time. So we got to the point at the end of this call where I was like, I'm not going to force close this guy because he's not going to be a good client. He is being very difficult I'm giving him amazing examples of what we can do and he just doesn't even care. He's pushing against our process. And so what I did was I took a big step back and went, hey, this isn't going to work for us. Best of luck. And he was totally caught off guard by it. He's being turned down by an agency because of how he's acting, right? So let me ask you something. Do you think he's going to go back and compare us to all the other agencies now? Probably not, right? No, bad marketing has a standard and they refuse to budge on that standard. And therefore they're happy to turn people away because I'm not willing to operate with them on their standard. And so we ended the call early. I ended the call in 30 minutes instead of 45 minutes because he was not budging. And I can't work with somebody who's being irrational. And so we separated ways. And some people are like, well, why did you let him go? Why didn't you just lower the agreement? Because he's not going to be a good person to work with if that's his mindset, if that's his expectations. And so we put our wall up of this is what we do and this is our standard. And I told him bluntly, I'm like, can I speak really freely to you? And he's like, yes. And I said, listen, if you are looking for an agency that doesn't have any bonus incentives, that is like charging less than we are, and is not going to have an agreement in place and give you whatever you want, I wouldn't trust that agency because like they are now going against their own standards. So do you feel like they're going to take care of you? And he was like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm not taking any more time of your time. Best of luck. I'll see you later. Now that deal didn't close, right? But I have made an impact and I've set expectations that is going to eat at him now. And in the future, he's going to go, man, bad marketing clearly is doing something different. I think I'm going to give them a shot. And he's going to come back in a different light, different energy, more respect, wanting to work with us. And this is where the long game really comes into place, guys. I don't care if that's this month. I don't care if I hit a certain quota because he's going to come back maybe in a year and be like, I wish I pulled the trigger with you. And that's how you play the long game in this situation. And I have this mindset of like, if I talk to you, I'm going to close you. It might be in 3 years from now, but I will close you no matter what. Anyways, Brant, hope it makes sense.
So something that I always find interesting is in the sales coaching space, especially sales and just in general, is that majority of the time, most of sales coaching is around mindset and behavior training than it is around the skill of sales. Obviously, those two things go hand in hand, but I think that if you as a sales director or manager or owner of an agency are training your sales teams and you're not regularly having conversation about mindset, beliefs, energy, you are not going deep enough with your sales team. For example, something that I look for with our sales reps, and I'm giving you this kind of just a bit of a tangent because this is so important. Something that I look for when it comes to working with teams and working with closers in particular is I want to know what their personal goals are. I want to know what their personal desires are for life and why they're here and why they're wanting to make money, because everything comes back to that, right? If somebody doesn't have a really clear goal, I want to make that goal clear for them because they're going to sell better for me. If they're wanting to make a ton of money, I'm going to use that in coaching calls to inspire them to keep pushing. And without that kind of depth, without those kind of conversations, you're just leaving so much on the table for your team. So I really encourage you, go deep with your sales team. If you're not talking about mindset and energy and psychology of if you're not having those conversations, start having them as soon as possible, because you're probably leaving a lot of performance on the table because of it. But anyway, it's just a round tangent. Just had a really great call and got really deep. And a lot of feedback I get is people are well, these calls feel like life coaching and not sales coaching. And that's reality what it is. So what I tend to do, kind of what I'm outside now, is I try to get outside a little bit during the day and just, to let the dogs out.
but then 2, just to kind of get some fresh air, especially like I'm a summer bum. The sun's starting to come out. This is like, I love this. So I try to come out and do some calls. I'm out here on my patio. I also have I need to cut the grass right now, but I got a big backyard, and like to be able to come out here as much as possible, smoke a cigar, hang out, decompress at the end of my day, get a little bit of sun, especially in the summertime. So just taking a bit of a deep breath here before going back inside and tackling more calls. I think I know a lot of you guys who have businesses, you know that energy management is like right up there with a lot of the other things that we're doing when it comes to like deep work and the strategy of running a business. Management, so on and so forth. It's like, how do I manage my own energy so I can show up for my team? And so that's a big part for me, is these little tiny things on a day-to-day basis. But then I also get to watch these beavers run around and have fun to the backyard together. As you can hear, all the dogs in the neighborhood now freaking out. But yeah, back to it.
What it do?
Say what's up to the vlog. All right, so just finished up that final coaching call with Tyler. Absolute legend's been with me in Agency Closer for quite a while. Today's call, we were mainly focusing on how to finish your call strong, getting more clarity to overcoming objections, tying people down stronger at the end of your calls to make sure we can get more one-call closes. Great call, great dude, and always look forward to calls with him. So that's kind of the wrap for the day. I'm just finishing up some final admin, end of day reports, answering back Slack messages, so on and so forth, and then I'm going to call it a day here shortly, go to boxing, and come back and make some dinner. So that's kind of the process. I'm going to end it here. I know this was kind of a relatively like quick and dirty process, relatively quick day, but that's realistically what the day looks like. It's currently 6:15 p.m. Gonna probably put another like 30 minutes or so here, and then call it a day. I'm a big believer in trying to end work when work ends, if that makes sense, and not be just working for the sake of work. Had a really productive day. Had a lot of good meetings in, onboarded some amazing people. Overall, big success. I'm not going to take you to boxing because you guys don't want to see that. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on this, let me know. If you want to see more content like this, comment down below. And looking forward to making more videos like this.